Miss Hoover was Lisa's teacher, the one with Lyme disease. And I do Mike Flanders, and they killed me because I moved to Colorado. Many people ask that question. And I do Dalton Richard Robart's friends. Hey, don't be a butthead, Bart. And I do Llewellyn Van Houten as Milhouse's mother, the one that just got divorced. Yes, baby, I'm available. And, oh yes, and the best thing for me being here is I got to be Sherry Bobbins, the takeoff on Mary Poppins. If you cut every corner, it is really not so bad. Everybody does it, even mom and dad. If nobody sees it, then nobody gets mad. It's the American way. So, these are the things. I like that, Maggie Roswell. Hello, I love it. That's a lovely deal. Is it behind me? Beautiful. Brilliant. Brilliant. On me. Fantastic. So anyways,
what can you tell us about yourself? Just give us a bit of background.
I was doing television for a really long time, and on camera, television, and film. And so, yeah, there's a lot of movies like Lost in America and Pretty in Pink, and there's one called Midnight Madness that is like the worst Disney movie ever made that I was in. It's really great. And then I did a lot of, I've done a lot of animation, but there's an animation movie that someone just had me sign for called Fire and Ice. That was Ralph Bakshi's movie, and I was Princess Tigra in Fire and Ice, going, running around looking like a Bakshi character. But I lived in Los Angeles, which is where it all started for me, and then I started to do a lot of the film and television. In fact, if you go on YouTube and you put in Maggie Roswell, you can see a lot of characters of me, you know, young. In fact, my daughter used to say, "Oh, Mom, you look so young." Yeah, you're younger and then you age. It's how it goes. But that's why I love to do animation, because, you know, I can be like a little boy or an old woman and it's all good. Or I also play Dr. Hibbett's wife. And I was Apu's wife for a little while in the beginning. So it's been a great job. And it was kind of one of those jobs, since I was doing film and television, that when they asked me and said, well, you know, would you like to audition for this cartoon series called The Simpsons? I was like, I guess so. And, you know, it's been 28 years. Actually, we're on our 29th year, and you guys are on the 28th year. And at this point, it's still going till 30, and probably past that. In fact, Matt Groening, when the London Times said, how long do you think The Simpsons will last? He said, well, we're closer to the end than we are to the beginning. And right there, the next day they put, Groening says, Simpsons is ending. And he said, no. So now when people ask him, how long do you think it'll go? He goes, forever. Just forever. So,
I mean, The Simpsons is probably like the most well-known cartoon. I don't know the statistics, you probably know better than me, but like it's probably the most widely known in the Western world.
Widely known because, and when I quit the show, I put it on the 10th year and came back on the 13th year. And then the Paris Match, you know, talked to me and said, well, you know, they said, do you want to do an interview because the French girl lost her job, and then the Italian girl lost her job, and the Spanish girl who did all my characters lost her job. I said, I wasn't thinking about that. I was just doing my thing. But anyway, so it's been quite a run, because, you know, we do 22 shows, and now it's 29 years, so needless to say, it seems to be going. And we passed the Flintstones, which was the longest show, and there were all these cartoons, so we're pretty much the history of everything. And actually, I think the Sherry Bobbins one that I did was the actual one that surpassed the Flintstones. So it's
really cool.
Yeah.
Didn't know that. So what's actually not like? What's the process of you know, filming?
We do the Simpsons. We do it very different, because when I used to do TV shows like you know, on Hanna-Barbera, like Scooby-Doo and things like that, my husband Al Rail and I, we both did Scooby-Doo and Mr. and Mrs. Peter Lorre. So we did that, and usually you walk in when you're doing animation, they hand you your script, you go through it, and then you do it. On The Simpsons, they send you the script, and then Thursday you have a crew. And then the writers are writing all weekend. And then Monday you come back in and you do the show. And then they still are giving you rewrites a lot during the show. But back in the day, what used to happen is literally, it would be an 8-hour day, which never happens in animation. But I think that's how the characters really got fleshed out, was because of that.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
So, would you say The Simpsons is your favourite show that you've worked on, or is it just...
Well, I mean, I think that doing Sherry Bobbins was, since I was a kid, and I always wanted to, you love Mary Poppins, and then you get to do Sherry Bobbins. And then I also got to do Mighty Mouse, the Ralph Bakshi version of Mighty Mouse, which was really fun because I got to do that as far as animation goes. But I think I did the Tim Conway show with Tim Conway and Harvey Korman. I was one of the stars of that show, and that was really a trip and wild. But a lot of you don't know who Tim Conway is, but if you did, he's a funny comic from the U.S. But I think mostly, those are the things that I've known for The Simpsons. But with Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley, Mork and Mindy, Lost in America, there's a lot of film and television that I did that's, now on, like, I don't know, one of those channels that shows old TV shows that you can see me on. But it's better as you get older, and as a woman, your time in Hollywood is so short, as you guys have seen. The men get older and the women get younger. So it's a much easier thing to be an actor, in a TV series, as an animated, character, because now we have our recording studio in Colorado, so you can go downstairs in your pajamas and do The Simpsons. It's really a good job.
And then in terms of what kind of direction you get, whether it's The Simpsons or any other voice acting job, do you get to kind of really put your spin on the character, like did the sort of
Well, we do, and it's like the other thing which is really wild is like with Maud Flanders. At one point she went, "Oh, Nettie," and I was just going to the read through, and I just went, "Oh, Nettie," and then all of a sudden when they did Maud Flanders doing "Oh, Nettie," she went like this, and I went, "I did that! Oh my God!" It was so fun. It was really, is like little things. And they do, usually you'll say, "Oh, here's something funny right here. What about this? This is really great here." But the writers, they have about 12 of them, and a lot of them, actually more now, and a lot of them come from the Harvard Lampoon. They've all been doing, comedy shows and stuff for a long time. So their writing is so brilliant that you sometimes go, they talk about a tone poem, and you go, "Okay, and that is what?" "Okay, good to know." So it's really, really smart work. It's really fun.
So you've mentioned a little bit about some of your on-screen performances, so obviously when you're not doing voice acting, so how does that differ from, as you already mentioned,
From doing, well, I think doing like television 3-camera work used to be like stage, and I did a lot of stage work and worked on Broadway and when I was doing the improv and everything, and that was really, that I think sets everything up for animation. And anybody that wants to go into animation, I always say to them to do improvisation classes, because that's a way to kind of keep your brain going and to keep your mind fast. Because a lot of times you're improvising a lot of different things, so that makes a huge, huge difference.
Yeah.
And also, to watch a lot of cartoons. I mean, I've watched so many cartoons when I was a kid, and they had the old cartoons where they had Yosemite Sam, and that was how I got my Texas accent, and Happy La Vue, which is how I got my French accent. And that's so funny, because when I was, when we're here in, I go into, when we just were in Italy, and I was going, "Buongiorno," and they go, "Buongiorno," and I go, "No, that's all I got. Buongiorno." Or you go, "Bonjour," but that was, I speak like little of everything, because when I was, I did Spanish class in Catholic school, so I had Sister Esperanza, and she gave me a D because I was talking. So she, so I learned how to say, "Hola, Paco, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo estás?" "Muy bien, ¿y tú?" "Bastante bien." "¿Es familia está bien?" "Sí, pero Luis tiene guitarra." "Oh, qué lástima, lo siento." Then since I got the D, I had to go to the French class. So I did, "Bonjour, Paul. Bonjour, Marie. Comment ça va? Pas mal et toi, ça va bien, merci. Où est la bibliothèque? Je ne sais pas." And that's pretty much all I got. So when you go to France, about you say, same thing. Bullshit, bullshit, no, I got nothing. No. I would like to speak to you, and yet I can only do the accent and pretend like I am French, but I am not at all. I cannot speak at all, but I can sound it a little wrong. That's why I always say to people when you're going to friends and you want to have that thing and go, just go like this and go, oh, what? You're in. And you can say anything.
Have you ever done anything silly with voices where you answer the phone or...
Oh yeah,
You've gone in like full on kind of stayed in character for this shot.
Oh yeah,
you acted such a...
we did. We had this friend of ours. The couple was coming from Ireland, and they had just come back from Ireland, and they said, "Oh man, tell everybody you're Irish." So we said, "Oh yeah, we're here from Ireland, and we just got here just a bit ago, and this is where we were, and we were doing it for a long time, and then actually we got so tired of doing it." You know, we're so not. We are not Irish. We're not anything. You know, I did that, but sometimes when people call up, you know, those, I don't know if you guys have it here, but they've got calls, and then, you know, where they go, "Can I speak to Miss Rail?" Or they can go, "Can I speak to Miss Rail?" And I go, "Hello? Hello? Is this Miss Rail? Hello? Are you Miss Rail? Hello? Is there anyone here who speaks English? Hello?" It's the best way to get rid of those robocolors. It's perfect.
She did entire videos just cold calls.
I know.
They were brilliant. Love to do that. Okay, so you mentioned a little about your theatre and the improv stuff. So I'm really intrigued. I've never been to see any improv theatre, but I hear it's kind of a really big name in the improv world. So what can you tell us about that? Like, what's it like?
I did a lot of work with, I was lucky to work with Robin Williams on stage, and Martin Short, who's a really good improviser, and John Larroquette, and John Ritter, and all these really amazing improvisation people. And Robin was amazing to work with because you would go into an improv with him, and his mind worked so fast that you would be like, and then the second that you drop the ball, it'd be off like a light. And you go, "Oh no, come back." Because he had this incredible photographic memory of every joke, everything. We sat one night after an improv show, and Robin Williams is sitting at the table, and someone started to tell a joke. So they got to the very, and they're really good joke tellers, so they just get to the punchline, and Robin gives a punchline. So then the second person does it, third person does it. We were there for 2 hours, and everybody would tell, "Wait a second, I got a joke." And then just when they would get to the end, he would know the punchline. He'd go, "All right, well, never mind. All right, good, thank you." I have so many people that when I'm doing all the voices and everything, a friend of my mom's, their kid said, "Is Maggie like Sybil? Does she have a bunch of personalities and no one talks about it?" Because I would change voices all the time, and people go, "Really? How bizarre. How bizarre, how bizarre." But we keep laughing, I gotta tell you, because you know, I grew up with Monty Python, and so when the second we walk in everywhere, people go, "Morning, morning, 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 how are you? Morning, morning." I love it. It's beautiful. It's in real life.
So, are you doing improv theatre at the moment, or is that something you've done in the past?
No, that's more in the past. Now, Hal is creating a thing called the Denver Herd, which is really great because we're training a bunch of people to do virtual reality and augmented reality, and that's really like the next step in voiceover and technology and everything is a virtual reality. And so we're training more voice actors to be able to do that, and that's really a great thing to have because they're doing it all over the world. It used to be that you were in Los Angeles and that's the only place you could do voiceover, or you were, you know, in New York or wherever, but now it's pretty much everywhere. So what we're trying to do is to get a lot of the animated companies and a lot of the animators to come to Colorado or to just virtually do it, and we'll have a team of people that can be together and do all their games and everything. So the Denver Herd is going to be big. Remember, you heard it here.
So how does virtual reality, like, you know, when they step in with the
Well, virtual reality is, yeah, it is like that, but it's like augmented reality is like Pokemon Go. You guys know Pokemon Go. But Pokemon Go is, you know, that's where you're looking at the
provide the voice first, and then they kind of adjust the, you know, the
I think
mannerisms
it's just
first,
everything
and then each
to
one
us,
match
or
voice.
that we will, or it will be the same thing as looping, which is matching to what's already done.
Yeah, okay, so you just have to watch kind of the kind of screen first and try and match it. That must be quite hard.
Yeah, no, actually, it's wild because usually they're beep, 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 and then you gotta go. So you go beep, beep, I missed it. Beep, there you go. So it's timing. I figure it's like jump rope. You know, gotta get in, gotta get out.
And how many takes does it usually
Well,
require?
Now it's better, but when we were younger, it really is a skill that you have to learn because they can have you there for hours, and some people try to keep you there for hours, and we try to be very fast. Because you go, you
have
want it
a
to be
lot
like that,
of
right?
yeah.
So I'd say definitely. But anyways, so do you guys have any questions on anything?
Yeah?
Yes.
Do we have a runner? It's alright, we'll get some to run around.
All right.
Potentially.
I was going to come to you and see what you needed to say.
Feel free. Yeah, come on, go ahead. Just watch the microphones and like, yeah, go on.
Come on down. Come on down.
Just be careful of the feedback game.
Yeah, my question is, The Simpsons with Lovejoy Wood.
I want somebody, please think of the children.
Yes.
How is that become like a running gag in the show?
I know.
It's alright.
No,
Yeah,
the thing was is that will somebody please think of the children? It really was like a one-shot deal, and now it's become. It's like one of those things like Bart saying, "Don't be a butthead, man." And then everyone comes up and says, "Will you please think of the children?" And I think now it's become my moniker. Will somebody please think of the children? And it's so not Helen Lovejoy, which is the part that I love so much. But when I was flying back and forth from Los Angeles, that's when I did it the first 10 years. I remember there was one point where I was getting off the plane and they were going, thank you for flying with us, thank you for flying with us. So when I got to work, I was coming, people were leaving the church as Helen Lovejoy, and I go, thank you for praying with us, thank you for praying with us, thank you. But it's that little stuff that catches on that you just never know is going to catch on. And so I think it wasn't my thing, but it's become my thing. And then Matt Flanders, the same way with Kylie Honey, we're okay. Oh yeah, that's great. But the wild thing for me, this is a piece of Simpsons trivia, was that like most of my characters, they already had like all the characters there. Like they had Ned Flanders, so obviously Ned would marry a girl from the Midwest. So I had to. That was where improvisation came in, where I had to all of a sudden do the Midwest kind of character. And then we were trying to prepare Reverend Lovejoy doing his thing, that we thought that she would just be one of those people that you so hated, and then always smiled and then stabbed you in the back. So that would be her. But when they got to Miss Hoover, which was really crazy, Miss Hoover, they were doing a thing where, I don't know if you remember the episode, but Marge paints a picture of Ringo Starr, and then they have her paint a picture of Mr. Burns. And so there's, and he goes, be careful with my genitalia. All of these different things, and Fox said, you can't say that, you can't say that, you can't say that. And I forget what they ended up with, like high package or something like that. And it's very funny because now you see all the animation and what everybody can say in animation. And we were the very beginnings of people going, nope, can't say that, can't say that. But there was one character where they have the picture of Mr. Burns, and she walks up and she goes, he's bad, but he'll die. And so Matt came and said, okay, we're going to do Miss Hoover. And you remember the woman that said, he's bad, but he'll die? That should be Miss Hoover's voice. So then I had to make a whole character that was like this. So I was so bored with teaching. Yes, children, come on. And one of my favorite ones that Miss Hoover said was when she goes, and then John Wilkes Booth comes up behind President Lincoln. He gets closer. He raises his gun. And the bell rings for summer. And they go, and the bell rings, she goes, all right, children. They go, what happened? What happened? He was fine. Have a good summer. I will see, and it was B, and then she comes up and she goes, oh, I got a B or whatever, and she goes, oh no, that was a D. Must have been part of the Drambuie at lunch. So then you realize she drinks all lunch, you know. But one of my favorites was when Harry Shearer realized that you know, Mr. Burns and Smithers, that Smithers was in love with Burns. And so he's like reading it and going, what? Wait a minute. Really? Wait a minute. And so, because he plays opposite himself like 20,000 times. And I only did it a couple of times where we'd play, you know, Helen Lovejoy would play opposite Matt Flanders, and so that would be a whole different thing. Oh, and sometimes, because when Helen really has his mother. Oh, and before we were doing Milhouse's parents, so they had Milhouse's mom and dad, and nobody knew what he sounded like, what they sounded like, and so I was going to do, I'm Milhouse's mother, and then that was when Hank Azaria goes, well, hey, Milhouse, and I went, oh, so I went, all right, then I guess this is how Milhouse's mother would sound. But it is, they just kind of put it in there where you go, okay, I guess I should come up with something else. Or you'll do something in animation and they'll say, okay, that's good, what else you got? Okay, what else you got? Okay, what else you got? So, and if you can be here for Hal doing some of his characters, you'll hear some of the different kinds of things that people have asked us to do, which are pretty crazy. But it's good.
Have we got any more questions? Do you want to come up? We've not got... Can we get a runner anywhere? I don't know if we can... Any crew members spare? I don't think we do. I just want to come up. Just watch the feedback. Just don't hold it too near the speakers.
Simpsons characters, who's your best favourite one?
Pardon me?
Of all the Simpsons characters, who's your favourite one?
Was my favorite one, and actually I wasn't even in it, but I think that, except for, you know, doing Sherry Bobbins, I think the one that was my favorite was actually Dustin Hoffman did one of the first ones, and he was doing it as her substitute teacher, and it calls Lisa, it's the first season, Lisa falls in love with a substitute, and The Simpsons was something that no one would do at first. Now everybody wants to do it, all the stars want to do it, but when they did that, she keeps going, oh, you have such great Semitic good looks. So at the end, instead of taking the name Dustin Hoffman, he did Sam Ettick for Mr. Semitic. And but they've had other people, like when Elizabeth Taylor did it, they said Elizabeth Taylor's going to be coming in to do the voice of Maggie. And so Elizabeth Taylor walks in and you can smell, I mean it's about, at that time, about a place as big as this, and you can smell the passion perfume coming up, and they go, address her as Elizabeth, do not call her Liz, Tanner. So she walks up and I'm standing behind her, she's about this big, and I'm thinking, everybody talks about those eyes of Elizabeth Taylor, I gotta see it, so I turn around and they were so, I mean they really were this purple, gorgeous eyes, and she was a little round at the time, but it was like you go, she was still so unbelievably beautiful, you know, and so then she's getting, and at one point I said to one of the animators, I go, draw her, and he goes, I can't do caricatures, I go, draw her, so he starts drawing her with the little dogs and her, you know, she's got a diamond ring about this big, and so she's up there and she's going, Daddy, 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 and then they go, can't we get anybody to do this? And then they go, yes, but we're getting Elizabeth Taylor. So then she walks by and sees that he's drawing and singing. She goes, well, darling, if you want to do it, then you should look at it like this. And I actually had my hand on her hand, looking at her ring the size of my head. And I'm thinking, how crazy is this job that I'm holding Elizabeth Taylor's hand and looking at her diamond ring like this? But it is some of the people that we worked with when Michael Jackson, he does, by the way, when they did the Michael Jackson show, he didn't sing. He has a stunt singer because he would have, he had, someone that would sing for him because of his whole thing with, you know, his record deal and stuff. Then when he goes, happy birthday, Lisa, and the guy sounded, he was white, sounded exactly like him. And so he came in and did the stunt singing. But when Michael Jackson came in, Dan Castellaneta didn't get the thing that Michael was coming in an hour early. So everybody's waiting and waiting and waiting, and they finally, and Dan walks in and everybody's like going, where have you been? And he goes, I didn't get it. And here's Michael going, oh, it's okay. And you're going, good. Made Michael Jackson wait an hour. It's all. But
You just said that you've had a few the guest stars before.
Yes.
Which one sort of left you the most awestruck?
I think Elizabeth Taylor did. Michelle Pfeiffer was really funny doing, being, somebody that was so much like Homer Simpson and doing that. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. Like with Michael Jackson, I wasn't there on the Michael Jackson day, and of course when they did Paul McCartney, only the two producers got to go with Paul McCartney. But there were a bunch of people that kind of came through, like Danny DeVito, and people like that were so nervous when they were coming on to the set. It was so funny to see all these big stars coming in for The Simpsons and then being kind of nervous because, you're not in control. He's used to being a really well-known actor, a director. He's so talented. But, you're like, whenever you go on a set, you're like the new kid. So you always walk in the same way when, like I say to my daughter who's walking, she started a new job the other day, and I talked to her and I just said, oh, it never stops. You walk in, you don't know anybody. It's like Hal and I walking in here today going, okay, hi, we're here. It's always that same feeling. So it never stops. It's like you're always in high school. But yeah, there were some really, really amazing people. The guy who plays Big Tony, he's fantastic. I love him. Trying to think who else did. I can't remember now because my brain is straight with town and it slides right off.
Do you meet Robin Williams as well? Have you got any more interesting stories about Robin Williams when you were working in the theatre?
And Robin was just, oh my God, it's such a loss. But he was so hysterical because what he would do is when he was doing stand-up comedy, he would jump down and heckle himself and then jump back up. And you go, what, who is that guy? He's terrible. Why? How could you say that about me? I was just wondering. Yes, I can. So it was pretty great to watch. These were great things. And he used to, I remember Hal and I went into this store that was like an eyeglass store on Melrose, and we were just like looking at stuff, and I hadn't seen Robin for about 10 years, and so it was just like a joke. Like I tried these on, and I look over at Hal, I go, what do you think? And he goes, those are good. And then I tried these on, and I go, what do you think? And he goes, that's good. And I tried these on, and Hal's walked away, and Robin is there, and he goes, oh, Maggie, hi, how are you? What's going on? And then I started to talk to him about, he said, how's Trixie? One of my girlfriends, he always called her Trixie. I said, oh, well, she just had a baby. I said, 10 pounds. He goes, my God, she passed a ham. So I think that's it.
Yeah. Have we got